Yeah, we are on YouTube. So let's start. Good evening, YouTube. We are here for our English immersion. My name is Warley, and the topic for today is job market challenge. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. But before to start with the questions and with the introductions, I would like to explain a little bit about Talk and Talk, so you that are watching us on YouTube can understand how this idea works and how this quite of immersion works as well. So Talk and Talk is a conversation platform for beginner, intermediate, and advanced speakers. It's not so important your level in English here. The idea is to focus on conversation. We don't do correction as well. This is not a regular class. I'm not an English teacher, for example. The idea is to focus on your confidence and develop your fluence as an English speaker. So that's the main idea here. We are here for focus on, on conversations with no corrections, with a real topic, with real people. So that's the main idea, okay? Besides English, you have other languages like Spanish, French, Italian, and German, I believe. And you can see all of that on the Talk and Talk website, okay? So with that in mind, I think we can go to the introduction. So Pedro, can you please introduce yourself first?
Of course. Good evening, guys. My name is Pedro. I am 25 years old. I was born on south of Minas Gerais, but nowadays I currently live in the center area of Minas Gerais, a little city that called Joatuba. I graduated on design, and nowadays I work in the bank area, like a business assistant. That's about myself, guys.
Awesome, awesome. And what about you, Walterson? Can you please introduce yourself first?
My name is Walterson. I'm 25 years old. I live in Duque de Caxias, Rio de Janeiro. I'm a librarian and I work in the university library. In this month, I finished my master in information science. I live with my parents. I have one brother, but he lives in the other state. He lives in Santa Catarina, Joinville. I don't know. That's it. I have the other things, but that's it.
Amazing. How long have you been here on Talk and Talk? When did you start?
Okay. Do you remember?
No. How long have you been here?
Ah,
When did you start on Talk and Talk?
in December. December in the last year.
Okay, like
So
4 months,
yeah,
maybe.
exactly. 4 months.
Amazing, amazing. And how is it going for you? This part of idea of practice English with conversation and focus on practice in a general way. Is that okay for you?
I
How's it
confess
going?
in the beginning, I start the immersion in one time a week, and it's a very lazy, devagar. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm very
could be.
lazy, but nowadays I try 2 or 3 immersion the week, but it's very difficult because I have many activities in my days. It's the time is terrible for me, but I try and I confess in these months I see a little progress in my pronunciation and my communication, but I have many problems about my my English. So I have many difficulties, but I try, and I like so much this experience in Talk and Talk because it's an opportunity that a conversation with the other peoples and the many subjects, and that's it.
Amazing. I really understand you because when you start with no practice in English, you have like problems to understand and it's quite of difficult to have conversation, you know. So
Mhm.
you start like a little bit slow. So, but you know, it's normal. I'm here in Talk and Talk since last year, practice English, and
Mhm.
I'm here as a host since um 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I believe. And it is still hard for me to be here and to practice and to focus on conversation and to focus on this practice, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to have this quite of pressure, and you need to have this quite of practice as well. Because, for example, I'm back on my immersions because I have stopped to do immersions before the carnival holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here after like 1 week or more, I believe. And when you don't have this practice every week, it's quite hard, you know. So it's quite tough. I'm a little bit slow to speak in English, and it's quite of difficult to go back, you know. And it's pretty interesting, this idea, but it's important. It's pretty important to keep practice and to have this consistency. It's pretty important for developer English, you know. So yeah, I really understand you. And with this practice, you're gonna develop a lot your English. So that's the idea. That's the main idea, to practice and to be consistent. It's pretty important, you know.
Yes.
But amazing. And what about you, Felipe? Can you please introduce yourself for us?
Sure. Hi guys, good evening. My name is Felipe Lira. I am 46 years old. Uh, Currently, I'm living in Recife with my wife, my daughter, and some pets. I work in information technology area. I am a network and security engineer. I'm here in Talk to improve mainly my speaking skill, listening and speaking, because I intend to get a international position in the future. That's it.
Awesome. And about me, my name is Warley. I'm 25. I live in Recife also. I work with IT as a project manager, and I'm a host here on Talk and Talk, an English host since last year. I have started actually on Talk and Talk in 2022, and as a Spanish host, and nowadays I'm focused more on English. I like to learn language. I like to learn about neuroscience and behavior as well. I like to run, and yeah, I think that's all about me. So let's start with the question number one. In your opinion, why is there a shortage of staff in the workplace nowadays, in a general way? What do you think, Pedro? Let me know about you.
In my opinion, I believe like not just today, but I believe like in the all the times of the jobs was created, I believe like the position of staff they are limited because I don't know. I believe like if everybody orders someone, I believe like he don't have space like to others like he receive these orders. And I believe like staffs nowadays is positions more limited because it's difficult. You have to do you have to do a lot of you have to get a lot of soft skills because it's not just do your work. If, for example, I work in design area, and not just about that. You have to know how to lead the people. You know how to manage the things. I believe like staff positions are harder because that, and they is limited because it's harder like support all the pressure that positions could appear. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you brought an interesting point related to if someone, if actually if you everyone is a leader, there is no people to be under leadership, you know. So we need to have this quite of positions as a leader, and we also have to people. We also need people to be led, you know. So we have people. We need to have people like this, so it makes sense a lot. But in a general way, do you think it has increased by the years, for example, the idea of people don't like this idea of to be a staff and to be a leader, for example? Do you think is that like influenced by the generation, our generation, for example?
Yes, I believe like I perceive like about myself, for example, because now we saw like some careers just like make a linear points. Nowadays we have other concepts about like you grow in your career. Like for example, you can be uh, some senior in your position. You could like develop not just to be a leader. You can like develop another skills like to grow in your career because I believe like anyone wants to be stagnant in your career. Like I will do just my thing. I always be a junior. I believe everybody wants to grow, but I believe like in the past of the years, the concept like to grow in your career. I believe like have more spend more. Like you can explore different ways to grow.
You brought a nice point because I was thinking here about is maybe the only path that we need to focus. For example, do you think the position of to be a leader is the only path that people will achieve in some years, for example, or people can focus on other positions that's not related to be a leader specifically?
So in my opinion, everybody can choose. I believe like the new conceptions about like to grow in career like make that more easier because I believe like in the past uh I have an example like my father and he wants to be a like a leader and things like that, but he perceive like he don't like so much like some activities involving that. So nowadays he is a senior in your position, and he liderates some things, but it's not yeah leader. But in my opinion, is that like I believe like we can have a many opportunities like nowadays. Depends of the enterprise too, because some enterprise more oh my god, I forget the word more more conservator. I don't know if it is correct word. I don't know, but I believe like he can like just focus on this, for example, this linear career. But in the technology enterprises, for example, he has this different visions.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's maybe a common path that people follow, but maybe actually I pretty agree with that because I don't think that uh, everyone can be a leader. Maybe you don't want to be that. Maybe you don't want this role or the position or the activities related to that, and maybe you don't want to develop the skills related to this position. And a lot of soft skills, for example, are required for this position, and maybe it's not connected for of you, or maybe you don't like to focus on communication or leadership or something like that, and maybe you just like to programming, for example, and to be a technical guy, and that's okay. Everyone don't need to focus on to be a leader, for example. So yeah, nice point. And what do you think, Felipe? Let me know about your opinion about this question number one.
You are talking about short age of job position, things like that.
Is more related to the shortage of staff position, like leader positions in a general way.
Leader position.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a choice. There are people prefer to work in technical area and leading with machine or programming instead of leader staff people, other people. It's more, how can I say, it's more hard to manage people than manager hosts, for example, machines. I think because of that, people choose other kind of career. I confess, manager people is so hard. I have an example in the company when I am working now. There are junior, many juniors to leader this kind of professional. It's so hard in IT. An example, I think because of that, we are facing a shortage of leaders in around the world. I don't know if it's only specific in Brazil, but around the world, the leader position, it's very hard to execute this kind of position. That's it, my friend.
Do you think, for example, the market here or the jobs in Brazil don't facilitate this develop or of leaders, for example? Do you think it's different related to international companies?
I don't know. I don't know because I don't have experience in international company. I don't know exactly how they manage their employees, But I think it's the same, We have a job position, open a job position can, how can I say, give opportunity to internal professional instead of hide another professional outside of the company, I think the company should choose first internal professional to fit the job position. I think it's the same, international and Brazilian. I think it's the same.
Yeah, an interesting point related to this topic is the skills related to be a leader, in my opinion, it's actually I agree with you what you said about it's not easy to be a leader, it's quite of complicated to manage people, to deal with people, to focus on great communication, for example, and all this stress that you have being a leader is complicated, so maybe because of that, people don't focus a lot on this position, and maybe the return that you have of money or career or something like that, compared to the stress that you have on this position and the complication that you have and the hard test that you have and all these points related to this, maybe explain this point, it's pretty hard to be a leader, to manage people, to have this pressure, to have these stressful activities and all this stuff. And you need to develop a lot of soft skills as well. And it's not easy to do that, So maybe it's quite of the idea of explanation about this point, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be a leader in a general way. It's pretty complicated. It's not easy. But okay, and what about you, Walter? Let me know your opinion.
I closed my camera because I'm in the work now, and
No problem.
all the moment the people walking in the in the library. So I think there are many reasons for this stuff shortage. Many companies offer low salaries as salaries. I don't salaries or poor working conditions, which make people looking for better opportunities. Also, some jobs require very specific skills, and it's hard, so hard to find professionals qualified. So, but in my opinion, I believe that there are many training courses in the internet and ways to qualify, but the companies are not, I don't know, oferece in English, I don't know, many opportunities. Have the many training and the courses are offer. Okay, thank you, Warley. Um, but the companies are not offer opportunities. So because that's it, and the internet propose offer the capacitations and the that's it, and the I don't know. Ah, that's it. Thanks.
Uh, I pretty agree with you. I think uh, it's hard to be a leader, as I said before, and it's quite of complicated when you think about the opportunities, as you said, that the company offer for developed leaders as well. I don't think we have the clear idea of what is exactly a leader and what skills it's important to a leader have, for example, and how we can develop leaders in a general way. So. Uh, all of this point explain maybe this idea. It's pretty hard to develop leaders, and I don't think that we nowadays on the majority of companies we don't have this idea or this knowledge about how develop leaders. So it's pretty hard to do that, and maybe it's quite hard for the company as well because they are so focused on the product, on the financial points, and maybe develop leaders is a long run goal. So maybe it's not a focus right now for them, and as it's not easy, maybe they don't focus on that. But yeah, it's quite hard as well. So let's go to the question number two. How long have companies been facing difficulties in hiring employees, in your opinion? This question is related to also staff position and also related to other positions. For example, do you think is that so long that companies are facing difficult to hire employees, for example? What do you think, Philip? What's your opinion?
Depends the kind of position. No? For example, if the company are looking for a specialist or the kind of professional that have good experience, a good skills. Nowadays, I'm talking about in IT in my area, no. But I think it's the same for others kind of career or professional, no. And but in IT, if the company is looking for a good professional specialist, the the time it's hard to hire this kind of professional because the the area is nowadays have a lot of demands, you know. I don't know, for example, one good professional in IT area is unemployed, for example. I don't know any friends or good professional and out of the area. I think it depends the skills the company are looking for, you know, depend the kind of professional the the companies are looking for to fit the position. That's it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it depends of the industry as well, and it depends of the company as well, and it's pretty depends on the level of experience that the professional have. So if you think about the IT area, for example, that I can talk about, I don't know a lot about other companies or other industries or other areas, but in IT area, if you have a lot of experience and you are a specialist, for example, you you have a lot of job positions, and you won't be fired, you know. So this quite of employees are so demanded nowadays, and even nowadays that we don't have the same idea of job position that we had on the pandemic, you know. But nowadays we still have a lot of job positions for high level experienced people, for example. It's quite of complicated for junior positions and entry level positions, but if you have experience, you have if you are a specialist, for example, is it's easy to get a job, you know. So yeah, I totally agree with you. But what do you think, Walterson? Let me know your opinion.
Há quanto tempo a empresa? Oh, okay. So my opinion, some jobs require very specific skills, and it is hard to find qualified professionals. You know, company are looking for people with perfect qualifications. So, but I believe this problem beginning in the COVID-19 too, in pandemic. Many people change career, started working from home, or start the I don't know, the job in your house or the other places. I don't know, empreendedor. So, and this is a problem for the companies now. In my opinion, this beginning to in the COVID-19 pandemic. That's it.
Yeah, the point of the pandemic on the IT area, it was like so impactful, you know, because we saw a lot of people changing of area, for example, going to IT area and all this stuff, because in pandemic, we need a lot of digital points, so we need these people, you know, but nowadays you have like a correction, and because of that a lot of people that are entry level, for example, are having a lot of problems to get a job, for example, and all this stuff, and it's pretty hard for them, you know, because it's also related to people uh, think about, well, the IT area is so easy, I can get a job and I can work from home and I can earn a lot of money, and it's not so true, you know, because it's a hard area. It's hard to work with IT as well, and it's not so easy like that. Maybe you could think about it on the pandemic area because we need a lot of employees, but nowadays it's quite hard uh, to get a job, to stay on the area and all this stuff, you know. So it's quite of complicated. But what do you think, Pedro, about it?
I totally agree with you guys. I believe like pandemic has a key like to develop some things. Now we saw like a big movement about big techs like return to the on site, and that's something like difficult because I believe like I I believe everybody don't I believe like not everybody adaptates so too much like in on remote, in my opinion too. And on the industry area, I believe like something is difficult nowadays. We saw like some government benefits. Like I'm not judging like some people like decide to choose like I will receive some benefits of the government besides like to work and receive a minimum salary. I don't judge, but it's something like some enterprises facing too much because they need some enterprise to work to the engineer working, but unfortunately we some enterprise have face this problem, like he don't find like people with so much like blood of the eyes to work and things like that. And if he don't resolve, and I believe like I don't know how resolve that. Make make some conditions like more significant for the people, pay like the real salary they need, because I work in a bank area, and I attend too much people like in low income, and somewhat times I just think about my with myself like, oh my god, how are people like have a family could live with just a minimum salary nowadays, because it's too so hard, so elevated the price of the things. And I believe like something you want to change like to that, because it's some problems that the enterprises are facing, like how we can hiring some people like he that he do the good job, and they make the best conditions for the employers too.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's kind of complicated when you think about this point of how people deal with money in Brazil, for example, and we don't have a lot of education about it, you know. So it's quite hard when you think about the conditions that we have to work with money and all this stuff, and it's quite hard when you think about how people with the minimal salary can live here in Brazil with that, you know. So with no education about financial points and how to deal with money, all this stuff. So yeah, it's quite of complicated as well. So let's go to the question number 4. I think we also we answered the question number 3 already. So let's go to the question number 4. Have you applied for a job recently, and how has the recruitment process for you? In a general way, do you think that this recruitment process changed by the years, maybe after the pandemic, for example, compared to this period of time? What do you think about? Let me know about you.
I'm confused. The answer number 4 or number 5?
Is the question number 4?
Number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So I stay my working at 1 year, but I I applied in the other jobs. I have applied for some jobs recently. The recruitment process was very competitive. I have to send my curriculum, make the online tests, and the multiply interviews. Some companies also asked for a practical test in my area for I don't know, avaliar available, I don't know.
Evaluate, maybe.
Evaluated, yes, evaluated my skills. It was a long process, but I think that is helped me learn more about different methods in the process. So in my opinion, it's very, very, very difficult and very hard start a new job in my area. So I try. I have applied for some jobs recently in my area. That's it.
Yeah, this process of participate on some um, job process and recruitment process, it's pretty important, you know. Even if you are on a job position right now, it's important to know about the job market and to practice as well the point of the interviews and all this stuff, and measure your skills on the market as well. So in my opinion, it's pretty important, and I try to do that as well, because it's nice when you are like practice and you are prepared to participate on a on a recruitment process, even if you are not available to or open to another position, you know. So it's pretty important as well.
Mhm.
And what about you, Pedro? What do you think about it?
So, when I graduate on design, I was intern and I was promote, and I believe like I will stay on my job like so much years, but that's not happening because like the enterprise that I work changes some things, the expectation like about the year of 2022 was so much different that they are imagined, and I suffered the layoff. But I remember when I decided like to come back to the market, I faced like so much difficult about that, because like in some techy areas that I looking for first, uh, the I don't found like too much jobs on the by junior or intermediate. I just find like positions for senior, and I was nothing available like to to compete at some position like a senior. I has that on my mind, and I believe like if even I try to apply and I was maybe hiring, I believe like I will not make the expectation that they put on me, and all the effort about like the process will not be. I believe like I will not take the expectations. But after that, before that, after that, I try to apply to a trainee programs, and that was too much harder because even is not like I have to be a senior. Are so much different people that try on this kind of positions, because it's opportunity to learn a new position, and you don't have too much pressure like in the beginning. You have like some goals, but it's not too much pressure like in a reposition, like for example. And for example, I applied to the Itaú process, and I remember like that was so much difficult, so much uh, things to do. Like it's a personal task, is a math task, logical task. And I remember when I passed to the second phase, I was so much happy, but it's not all the steps, because I believe like we had like seven phases, and I passed to the second. And to pass the first one, you have like too much tasks to do, and that was so much difficult. But when I pass on the process that I am now, uh, I passed to the logic. I have to record a video like talk about me and why I want to be in the process. I have to make some logic tasks, like so much longer. But I believe like even like the recruiters want to get some points of view like more 360 100 per view. But I believe like that complications a little bit, because for example, I follow my father like when he don't when they are when he was employed, and he faced like some process, and he is a senior. He has the ability to do the job, but he has to pass all these steps, and for he was somewhat frustrated, because sometimes he know like how works a fabric, how works the process about the fabric, but he don't know how to solution some logical tasks, because if you decorate the answers, you will pass. But it's not the point now. But in my opinion, even they want to like learn about how of you, I don't know if it's all necessary, in my opinion.
Yeah, you said one point about the positions and the level positions right now in the market, and I think that's the directly reality of IT area. Nowadays we don't have like a lot of positions of junior, for example, and entry level positions, and we have a lot of positions about special for specialists and senior position and all this stuff. And maybe it's like a correction of the market after the pandemic. And nowadays it's pretty hard to find these positions and to get these jobs when you are an entry level employee. And when you don't have a lot of experience. Um, on your market or in IT area or on all this stuff. So yeah, it's very complicated for entry level employees right now. Maybe it's not only on the IT area, but it's the most points related to this. Maybe it's on the IT area. And what do you think about that, Felipe? Let me know your opinion.
I haven't applied for a job recently, but last year I I have applied 2 times for international companies, and the difficult for me was the English. It's different. The the level of English for an international company, it's different because we need to express it well and be understand about other people and have a good listen. So the one time was because the English, and another one was because the skill. The the company needs a networking programming guy. It's a net DevOps, but my programming skill was not good in this time. So I believe because of that, I didn't follow the for other steps in the position. That's it. Because of that, I'm trying to improve my English, mainly in, how can I say, interview. We need to uh, test your interview. You need to train the interview in English because there is specific uh, questions about you. We need to talking about you and the job is in the past, the situation. What did you do in the specific situation? So interview is hard, but if you train, it's possible to get a job, international job.
Do you think the process of recruitment international job, for example, it's hard because of the process is it's more difficult compared to the Brazilian ones, or just related to the point of the difficult of English and to express yourself and to speak in English and understand the questions, for example?
Yes,
What
that's
do you
it.
think?
Yeah, it's not about I think there is no difference between international or Brazilian company. For me, the difficult was the English. I need to improve more because the position I need to express myself in with other guys, in manager, in team. I was not prepared. I need to prepare more in interview in English. It's not about skill, technical skill, technical skill I have, certification. I know the technical things, but my English was not very good for talking about other things. That's it.
Yeah, I really understand that because when you participate in a recruitment process, it's not so easy in Portuguese, because you need to have some idea of how to explain about you and to talk about you and to explain and to talk about your experience and all this stuff in a structured way. And it's not so easy to do even in Portuguese, you know. And when you think about to do that in English, it's worse, you know, because it's quite hard to understand people and to talk in a clear way and explain all of this in English. It's hard. So yeah, I really understand you.
Yeah, even
So
even in Portuguese
yeah.
is difficult. Even in Portuguese it's difficult.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to talk about you in a general way, you know, and it's not so easy to explain your experience in a structured way and to explain for people about your job position right now, what you do, for example, and explain all of that. It's hard, even in
And
Portuguese. So in English, it's work. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Um, so okay, let's go to the question number five, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected the job market in your experience? Maybe you can talk about your area, for example, or maybe in a general way. I don't know. So let me know about you, Felipe.
how the affect the job marketing? Yes, a lot. Affected a lot in my area because after pandemic we had a chance to working remotely, you know. Companies open this kind of work after pandemic, and for me it was good because I have a chance to go back to receive, you know. And before the pandemic, I live, I have lived in Porto Alegre, and after pandemic, I had a chance to go back to Recife. It was good to me because now I am working remotely and I am near from my family, and I have time to do other things, you know, in a remote position. That's it.
Yeah, it's nice. I think the most important point that is impacted of after the pandemic, for example, it was the remote mode of work, you know, because on the pandemic, a lot of companies changed to this modality, for example. And nowadays, we don't have this reality anymore, you know, in the most of the companies, for example. So maybe it was the most impactful point of the pandemic and the most important change nowadays. So yeah, it's sadly it's a reality right now. Um, and what about you, Walterson? Let me know your opinion. Your mic is off, I believe.
Uh, in the pandemic, I was in the college, and college is graduated the same.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
university or college.
yeah, in the graduated, and was an intern, and my internship was remote during the COVID period. So, but the pandemic changed the many job market a lot, in my opinion, and many people lost their jobs, and the companies had to adapt it quickly. And the work, the remote work become very popular in this epoch, and some business had to close or reduce staff and people and the other things. So in my case, I was an internship, and in my uh, intern was remote during the COVID period. Period. A period. Período.
It's a really good question. I don't know. Let me see on the translator.
Because a period is ponto final, in
Yeah,
English. But
uh,
período é period.
I
Too?
think you can say like period of time, you know.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
think you can say relate to that. But it's a
Thank
good question. I didn't know. Nice. And what about you, Pedro? Let me know your opinion about it.
I was on the same ship of Walterson on the pandemic. I was graduation, and I got my first intern on the COVID period. And the I in my area in the design, the COVID app was good because so much the enterprise tried to invest like in the technology. And I remember I got a transition on the COVID app, and I could like have a change in my job. And after the COVID, I remember stay good like in the technology area. And even I don't apply to some internships, I received some invitations to try to participate in recruiters and things like that. And it was a very good, but I remember, I believe like 2 years after the COVID, the market was decreased because I believe like everybody tried to invest too much in some things like that, but I believe like the return was not the expectations about that. And I believe in my case, it was that. In the case of some other enterprise, I know like they have to reduce the employers and some. I believe like I don't know how to say commercial. I will just check here.
That's a good question. I really don't know.
I believe marketing could be a good one.
Market? Yeah.
The marketing, uh, they have to close because they don't have reserves to stay alive in this parody because they have to spend money and they don't receive back the money. And I believe like it's so hard for so much enterprise. I remember my friends of mine in this parody, he is a medicine and he have to like to deal with that on this parody, have to try to work and study, was very hard too.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, for a lot of companies, it was like pretty hard. Um, if you need people in a general way on your market, on your job, on your company, for example, it was pretty complicated on the pandemic year, in the pandemic era, you know, because um, a lot of companies like restaurants, for example, need to close, and it's pretty hard to maintain your bills and all this stuff when you don't have the public for buy your service or your product, you know. So it's pretty complicated when you think about that, and it was a difficult time for a lot of companies as well. So it's complicated. So guys, unfortunately we don't have time for more questions, but I would like to send here on the chat the link of the survey. As you said, it's an anonymous survey. You can say what did you think about the immersion and also suggest other topics that you want to talk about. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the conversation, and I also hope to see you on the next time. Okay, so